for this video, we will now be subtracting fractions with the same denominator, or as we call it, like fractions. For subtraction of like fractions, we will be having 3 examples. Our first example would be 5/8 minus 3/8. Okay, 5/8 minus 3/8. We want to subtract 3/8 from 5/8. So we have to show first where 5/8 is. So divide the whole into 8. Show 5/8 of it. So this will be the 5/8. Okay, so that's the 5/8. So we want to subtract 5/8 and 3/8. So we have to show first 5/8 by dividing the whole into 8s and getting 5 of it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is my 5/8. Now I want to remove 3/8 from it. And the 3/8 is right here. So 1, 2, 3/8. If I remove 3/8 from 5/8, I will be having this much left. Okay, so this is the answer. 5/8 minus 3/8 will now be 2/8. But if you think of it, is 2/8 already in its simplest form? So to know that, we have to make sure that there is no more number that can divide both 2 and 8 with. But there is still a number that can divide it, that we can divide both 2 and 8 with, and that is 2. Okay, we can still divide both 2 and 8 by 2. And if we do that, our final answer will now be equal to 1/4. And if I show it here, we can actually show that our 8s earlier is now equal to 1/4. Let's try to subtract 7/10 and 3/10. Okay, so 7/10 minus 3/10. Let's show that the 7/10 first. So we have 1, 2, divide the whole into tenths, and then afterwards show where 7/10 is. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7/10, and then subtract 3/10 from it. That's 1, 2, 3. Subtract 3/10, and what we have left here would be our answer. So 7 minus 3 would be 1, 2, 3, 4/10. 4/10. Now, again, think if our 4/10, if our answer is already in its simplest form, and we can still divide 4 and 10 into 2. So we have divided by 2. Our answer would now be equal to 2/5. So if I will be showing it right there, it's now 2/5. Alright, and one last example for this video would be, say for example, I want to subtract 1 whole minus 2/5. Okay, 1 whole minus 2/5. So to do that, I have to subtract 2/5 from this whole. But how will I do that? I would have to make my whole number first, make one whole into fifths so that I can subtract 2/5 from it. Okay, so that would now be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So our one whole became 5/5. So 5/5 minus 2/5. Now that we have this, we can already remove 2/5 from it. So removing 2/5. So let's just label this first. That's one whole. I will be removing 2/5 from it. That's 1 2/5. And what I will have here left would be 3/5. Okay, looking at our answers right here, we know that when we subtract fractions that have the same denominator, we can just simply subtract the numerator. And don't forget that our denominator is still the same because in subtracting fractions with the same denominator, you just subtract the numerator and leave the denominator the same, or just copy the denominator, which is the same with adding fractions with the same denominator. So that's it for this video, and I hope it helped.